everyone. Let me quickly get this energy and then we will start sharing and everything else. Okay, I got ordered to, well, not ordered, but told yesterday, please post in here. So there we go there. Share to Facebook now. Hi Jess, thanks for joining me. Just a minute and I'm sharing with a couple other places to hopefully okay, there. So we have, oh, I need to use master notes, and then we still have the adversaries to do. Let's hurry and do master notes before I forget again. I guess we'll do this one. So yes, I did post in your Discord today, since you told me to. I just hadn't been because I knew most of it was crafting and I wanted to, or that you're more focused on crafting and stuff like that, and I wanted to be considerate. So anyone that doesn't know, I'm going to do a shout out for Jess in a little bit, but Jess has an amazing channel and an Etsy shop. She does cross stitch and sells cross stitch patterns. So definitely something to check out. Well, like I told you yesterday in your channel, there's a reason that when you're on and there's a reason when you're on I will send my people to you. It's not all the time, but I try and I basically go through and I check first for people, but I'm looking for people I trust to send people to. I don't like, especially if it's a fighting game, killing, etc. I don't like sending people to those types of games because myself, I don't like necessarily supporting those types of games. So well, like I said, I send them to you because one, you do not do any of the fighting killing games on your channel. And your community is so open and inviting and everything else. I mean, the first time I went in there, it may have been the very next day, but within a week, I had people from your channel coming in to support me. And so then I started looking a bit more often for if you were on. Because if you and your community are going to support me, I think everyone's like that. If I get support from somewhere, I want to support back. And I've been getting support from your channel, and it's one that on top of it, I like what you do. And feel that it's something that those who like the types of channels I like are going to also like. And so then it basically, you make me feel comfortable sending my people to you. Now, I do have to warn, in case any of my regulars do get on, I know some of them may be a little bit sensitive to swearing. There is a little bit of swearing. But honestly, my regulars know me well enough to know that I don't swear at all. And I don't necessarily watch people who do. So obviously, if I'm mentioning Jess's channel and saying it's not bad, it's not that often. I have heard it once in a while, but not very often at all. So I just like to warn people in advance that does happen. Yep. And I am. And part of it's just the fact that I am a mother. And the two combined together really lead to a lot of me trying to keep my language clean. This guy is a harder guy, as you can tell. Sorry about the sound in the background. If it's too loud, let me know and I'll turn it off. But it's been hot for Utah, here in Utah. And I'm kind of sensitive to the heat, so So I play Wizards Unite when they have events going on that I haven't finished. It's not always, but that works. It's not always that I play Wizards Unite, but so like there were a couple days last week that I worked on my story. So if there's an event going on, especially if it's just started, I play Wizards Unite. Right now, if I'm not playing Wizards Unite, I either work on my story, or if someone wanted and asked for it, I could work on setting up my resetting up so I can play. I've got an Animal Crossing world that I'm trying to make a wizarding world. So I'm trying to set up like a Quidditch stand and different things like that. So I've got that. I also have I also have the Harry Potter Lego games on Switch, and then I got an Xbox, and right now I think there's only the Lego games available for the Xbox, but they have so I got the Xbox X, and they said they're going to have the Lego or the other Harry Potter games also available on that. I'm kind of waiting for that, but that's where we're at. There is the Lego Harry Potter games. Okay, that's why I haven't placed that one. Let's see. Do I have any others to place? Thought I just finished one. I did. There. I could swear I just finished one. I do not know. Okay, let's see. Yes, I do. So that kind of also shows you why my language is a lot cleaner. And why I don't stream on Sundays. The only days I stream on Sunday, I will be honest, on twice a year, on a Saturday and on a Sunday, I will usually either play Harry Potter, like the Wizards Unite. I might play some other game, but something I don't have to think a lot about while I'm playing. And I will be watching the conference sessions for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and am willing to discuss them there. It might be, but yeah, I'm willing to discuss things that are talked about on conference there. But I honestly, I'll get into talking about stuff like that with this channel if people ask, but I do not go into it a lot. I'm gonna be honest. What you get from me is the way I live my life, and I don't go on huge rants or anything like that. Let me make that very clear. I know some people try and push it on everyone, but I don't. I even have had people get on and asking, as long as the questions are fair and not bullying, I'll answer. But otherwise, I talk like I do in your chat and stuff. I'm not about to push my beliefs on other people, because that's not fair to anyone and it doesn't help anyone. Everyone needs to find out what they believe for themselves and go with that. So, and I know that that's maybe more unusual, but, and I get that. Sometimes I will admit, trying to understand things can be difficult, and I've had times like that in my life when I've struggled to understand, and I've had some things that have happened that helped me through that, and then I started getting answers, but not everyone does, and I get that, and I'm not about to, unlike some people, and I'm going to make it very clear, I know this happens, that some people are like, oh, well, you should have just stayed with it. Hi, Orca, thanks for joining. But I'm not, I will encourage people, even if they're questioning, to stick with it and try and get those answers and try and understand. But unlike some people who will claim that you're bad if you don't, my son will even verify that I'm not one to push the church on anyone. I encourage it, but I don't push. Right, David? And he verifies that. Why? Because he's questioned, huh? No, I did ask him, because he is my son, to go to church every week. But other than that, and maybe try a little bit, but I've encouraged him asking questions.
My ears are starting to hurt more.
Time to go back to the doctor?
Maybe. We'll wait a bit more, but maybe.
Okay. Well, you know how to contact him. Exactly. And I will say this, you might find answers later in the church, you might not. That's another thing, is some people are like, well, people who question and leave, you have to force them back in. No, you don't. There's a reason they left. And they may come back and they may not. But that doesn't mean they're a bad person. And my kids have known from day one that I encourage them. Unlike many people in Utah who, oh, they're not a member of the church, be careful, and kind of indicating don't play with them. My kids have been encouraged to play with. It's part of the reason I don't. If someone's struggling and has chosen to leave the church, and you bombard them trying to tell them all these bad things about why they shouldn't leave, you aren't doing them any good. You're just pushing them farther away. Now, I encourage people to try to find the answers for themselves and maybe keep reading the scriptures and maybe even attend. But honestly, I told my kids from the time they were little, I taught my kids to question, to find answers for themselves from the time they were little. about everything. Science, everything. And that's part of it, is we never know when something might be for a reason. Who knows? Down the road you might find out that the whole reason you left was so you would meet your husband or your fiance, or not fiance even, your boyfriend, and have your daughter. Honestly, I'm on my second marriage, which people who are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints realize that that often is looked down upon. And right now my ex is a fugitive. I don't hate my ex. I don't agree with many of the decisions he's made. He was a great person when I met him, and that's why I married him. But he started to make decisions I didn't agree with, and so I couldn't continue with it. Exactly. No, the only person that can have, or how do I put this? I have absolutely no clue of God's plan for you, other than that He loves you. Period. That's it. That's how much I know of God's plan for you. Okay, fiance. I couldn't remember if it was boyfriend, fiance. I just remembered you said that you weren't married yet. If I remember right, or if I remember right, I remember you saying you weren't married yet. And that you, but I couldn't remember, or that you'd been together for quite a while. That's what I remembered. So I couldn't remember if it was fiance or boyfriend. So, easier to say boyfriend and it covers fiance. But that's the thing. Honestly, I don't know God's plan for my son. I may have a little bit more idea than I do for you, but I don't know God's plan for my own children. That's what I thought I remembered. And on top of that, I don't even know God's plan for me. So if I don't know God's plan for me, how can I claim to know God's plan for you? And that's one thing that frustrates me, and I'm going to make it very clear. That is not the teaching of the church. In fact, people who do that are going against church teaching. However, many people in the church do that. There. The gospel is one thing. The choices of the people in the church do not always line up with the gospel and the gospel teachings. Oh, wow! At least you realized. You could have always ended up totally forgetting. Honestly, between me and my husband's usually the one saying, honey, it's our anniversary, or it was our anniversary 2 days ago. Or things like that. I will admit, in our family, many of the accepted men and women roles, oh boy, in our family, many of the accepted men and women roles are reversed. So when you think about a lot of them, a lot of the roles. And that's actually what happens in my family, Orca, is that it's my husband reminding me, which is really even kind of wacky, because our anniversary, or our marriage, was shortly before, same month, everything else, shortly before my birthday, which really shows you half the time I can't even remember what my birthday. So I know my birthday's in October. That's about it. That works, Jess. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. On auto mod, just because I figure it tells me people are lurking. So, and I have one that he has, his mod has something like over 1,000 people lurking when he's got like 200 people watching. So it kind of raises some suspicions there, but and so that's one reason I don't do it, because exactly, how can you have over 1,000 people lurking and only 200 people watching? I think what's happened is that people put in the lurk command and he doesn't have it reset at the beginning of every stream. And so people hit lurk and it just has kept adding up over time. I honestly would not doubt if some people are lurking 2 or 3 times because they hit lurk, the stream ends and they never unlurk and then they lurk again. Exactly. And I'll be honest, I don't use the lurk and unlurk command myself very often either. Because, well, Jess's stream yesterday, I think it was yesterday, was an example of why I don't. I say I'm going to go into lurking, and then all of a sudden I'm in there chatting for the next 30 minutes. And I haven't turned off the lurk command. And really what it is for me, when I'm lurking, I am usually busy doing something or going to. Half the time exactly, half the time for me it's, oh, I want to go get food or something like that, and I'll be watching while I'm eating, and so I'm not going to be paying a lot of attention. And then you say something and I may not stop to eat for a while. And so I just don't use it, because it's like, chances are I may be back in anyway. So why hit lurk? You know, if it's something I would comment on, I'm going to comment on it. And if it's not something I would comment on while I was watching, I'm probably not going to comment on it, or I won't be commenting on it anyway. So you might get a little bit more when I'm not lurking, but not necessarily. I have the guy that has that many viewers, half the time I'm just watching his stream, and I'm not, and lurking, or semi-lurking, but I'll watch. I'll sit there watching, but not commenting, because he's got like tons of people commenting. His stream goes really fast. Surprisingly, he can still remember names of everyone, but at the same time, you know, there's some Evan and Caitlin, I think is what it is. I'll watch them. I've got them in my subscribe list, so I don't remember for sure the exact name. But I'll watch them. And I'm rarely going to be commenting, because they've got so many people commenting, it's not worth it to comment. Yeah. So my regulars I know by name, and I generally know a lot about them, of what they've shared. I try to remember stuff like that. I'm one of these people, just to give you an idea, in real life, I can see you and know I know you, but not necessarily put a name to the face. So, if that gives you an idea. I almost wish there was a way we could have well, exactly. So maybe that's the reason we're both iffy on names in here. I wish we could have the option of having icons or pictures that all beside our name that represent us. I think I'd remember those more. I will admit, though, I go to conferences with name tags and pictures plus name tags. Yes, there you go. But I go to conferences with name tags, and half the time I'm not even looking at the name tags until I need to call them by their name, because I'm very much I want to communicate. I want to talk to you type person. And so, which I think you realized the first stream you stopped in.